we just ended with talking about feminism, about Me Too. I want to maybe ask you about what's going on in Syria, especially in Syria.
Syria,
yeah. Exactly. So after Assad's fall, the news are still really, really upsetting, and the situation did not get better. And speaking of feminism, there are like hundreds of women from the minorities of like Alawis and Druze that has been kidnapped by Jawlani militias, by Islamist militias that are now de facto the rulers of Syria. And what I find very amazing and very sad, that there is no support or no mentioning of that in the Western media at all.
Yes,
so,
I totally, sorry to interrupt you, then you can go on. You cannot even imagine how much I support you here, but you know why? Here I go a little bit, you will again disagree with me. Because, you know, okay, now anti-Zionism, everybody knows, but the moment you say something too critical about Islam,
Islam.
Islamophobia, no, they also should be criticized.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely crucial.
My question? So my question is, like, for me, as I'm a Syrian woman, and I find I have to walk.
From which are you Alawite? For which group?
Alawite, sadly, I don't belong.
But weren't they compromised by Assad, or?
Yes, they were I mean, partly complicit, and I mean, I'm an atheist. I'm secular. I call for a democratic, secular Syria. This is my hope. And my question is, I find myself without allies, or I have to walk a very, very like thin line, because when I see people maybe on my side, they're usually right-wing, or like very pro-Israel in a way that I do not respect. Of course, I respect the Jewish life. I don't have to, I hope I don't have to say this, but I find that we don't have allies. Like in the left in Europe and the US is not really an ally for anyone who's suffering from Islamic extremism. So how, do you have any advice?
But you see, this is what I was talking about. These hidden prohibitions of did you notice how even Iran, you remember, somebody told me that in a way similar to how Netanyahu maybe provoked this war to save himself from prison. It was, I have friends in Iran who are in this medium state, half arrested, half not, you know. And they told me that it's crucial to remember that before these tensions bombing with Israel and United States in Iran, you know, there was that woman, Kurdish woman killed, Mahsa Amini, and so on, and the regime was almost on the edge. And that the general theory there is that they consciously went into this tension with Israel and so on to mobilize the people, to keep themselves in power, and so on and so on. So we have precisely in sympathy with full sympathy to many Muslims. I love their philosophy. For example, Sufism, okay, but every snobbish intellectual likes Sufism mystics. It is crucial, because for me, you are really solidary with somebody only if you also speak to him honestly and criticize him. Beware of friends who don't criticize you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
If you can give in more question, not so much remark, more question, maybe we take few of them. I just want to say that the way nobody tried to try romanticize Islam or something like that. You remember, Slavoj, when you were younger, you said it's very nice about anti-Semitism. You said that even everything they said about the Jew is right, it's still anti-Semitism. And it's very important. The issue is not if Islam is better or not. We are not in any theological conversation. It's about how Europe treats the Muslims. This is the question. Not, of course, there are bad Muslims, good Muslims, Jews, whatever. And in Syria, it was very hard because, you know, I really feel my responsibility is to fight for Palestine, and I know really they're better, and the genocide is really happened there. But it was very sad for me to see the Palestinian community in the war split to two. You know, there were the more the communists, so that are more for Assad, and and Tajamu Balad was more for the other, and then said, no, we are for human rights. And somebody wrote, I think it was from the Intifada, that you wrote, you know, maybe we are too weak to take a part there when we have our people, refugees in Syria, that each time somebody else come to our camp and kill us. And sometimes, you know, how the West is handling it, it's totally how it's functioned for their good. How the people in Palestine acting to it is the weak people that try to survive. They are not always on the right side. And there were people there that was on the right side also, and the fight within the movement of the Palestinian movement.
Yeah, but
I felt that I don't know enough, and it's clear on specific thing that we had to fight Assad, and it was clear that we have to fight the other, and it's clear that the Kurds it's easier to support. But those are things that we all know, but it's very, I don't like that Slavoj like to bring some bad stories about Muslims. Of course, there are many bad stories about Muslims. And yes, in England, some Muslims did rapes. Yes, Slavoj, I know all your stories. The question is how the West treat it.
No.
And the West treat it extremely different. The West treat the Muslim now the way you, anti-Semitic Europe, used to treat Jews in the 30s. Like everything that happened for Muslim, it's become all over against Muslims. And that's what I'm fighting. I'm not trying to idolize any group. The other that you chose now in Europe is the Muslim. The demonstration is against the Muslims. The language Islam take over Europe, this is the language now. And that's the language we fight, not specific stories that this one did this or this one that. No, I don't speak about what's happened. I speak about Europe. About what's happened there, it's terrible. No, don't misunderstand.
Yeah, but nonetheless,
it's
now
it's
I will
about
be
the relation
of being,
here.
As I'm
But let's other people a bit. I will let you, but it's
No,
not.
so-
She's with the mic.
Yes, I've been holding the mic for a while now, so thank
Okay.
you. So actually what I want to ask is related to, again, another Syrian woman living in exile. And I would like to ask a question beyond identities and beyond being a Muslim or a Jew and beyond only the specificities of what's happening in the Middle East. I would like to ask about this universality and how it actually translates, because you both have talked about class issues, but not in a very explicit way. You've talked about the movements and how it basically adapts a political correctness or woke language, and that does not necessarily take into consideration the actual class struggle that is happening all over the world. I would just like to ask the question how the situation in Palestine and in many places, in many other places in the world, how this translates or how this connects to other class-related issues, and if this is really about identities or if it's about capital and about the capital disaster complex that basically started in the 80s with the rise of neoliberal corporatism and basically making capital out of four.
You can answer her longer. I will be very short. You know what is absolutely crucial in this case? Don't play the game Israel is the instrument of big corporations against poor Palestinians. What about Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and so on? How many Palestinians do they accept? I often think that this formal condemnation of Israel, you know, all Arab states now talk, where is the act? You remember the last group that tried to enter Gaza through Sinai? Egypt arrested 3,000 people and threw them out and so on. So if you talk with class struggle, don't focus just on bad Israel. Go also to Arab countries, how divided they are. The saddest paradox for me is that, you know what Saudi Arabia is doing, because many desperate Muslims from East Africa try to cross that Red Sea, whatever, go to Yemen and then up. And I read a report on what is Saudi Arabia doing this. It fortified the border, drones, planes, guns, bombing them and so on. Where is the, why don't we read more about this?
Well, Slavoj, I don't. She raised a good question. How we, as people that are Marxist or Reddit, how we see the situation from a class struggle. She doesn't try to say that class struggle has immediately to analyze to this, but I spoke a lot about identity, and I didn't speak about class struggle, and I think it's a good remark.
Yeah. And I'm ready to say as Israel even.
For me, I want to answer, I mean, for me, because one of the person that influenced me most is Walter Benjamin, and I really think that he dealt very strongly in the relationship of class struggle and theology. And for me, like, who is really running out? Also, when I think about America and Israel, I never know who is playing what. Is America is just playing Israel as their biggest base in the Middle East to protect their interests in oil and all that, or Israel is really such a manipulative group that control America? And before it was clear to me that it's America controlling Israel. Now I got already confused, but I think it's very important. The reason I choose in Germany more the identity discourse and not the class discourse when I speak here in Germany, because I'm coming as a warrior, and right now there is a genocide. And I think that what I can add to the German discourse is deconstruct all this bullshit about we're doing it for the Jew. And therefore, I said before, I don't need the Jew. It's enough to be a Marxist or a human to fight against genocide. It's clear, and that's why I spoke about Microsoft, how they put $20 billion there, and the control. But I feel that my role in Germany right now, because many Palestinian comrades are getting beaten on the street, and everyone who just opened their mouth called them anti-Semitic, with me, that all my life it's about was researching my Jewishness. Nobody can use it against me, and I feel that that's the way I can be instrumental best here. That's why I'm putting more the energy on that here.